Hey there, we are back with another YouTube video. We're so happy to have you here again, or if this is your first time, welcome. I'm Rachel.
I'm Jessica. We are both certified occupational therapy assistants with Harkla, and today we're going to talk about 5 activities you can do with the Harkla compression swing that target primitive reflexes.
We are obsessed with all things primitive reflex integration, and for our therapists who are watching, just know that when you are doing primitive reflex integration activities with kiddos, they shouldn't be rote, boring, repetitive exercises per AOTA's guidelines. We want to make sure that we are incorporating them into functional, occupation-based, play-based tasks. If you're a parent watching, then you can just do these however you want.
It's true. We do have several other videos on primitive reflexes if this is a new term for you and you're unsure what primitive reflexes are. We recommend that you watch our other videos, listen to our podcast episodes on primitive reflexes so you have a better understanding of what we're talking about, because we're not going to dive into like the what and the why today.
Yes, we do have a lot of information. Today we are going to show you some fun and functional activities to address those primitive reflexes and integrating those during fun activities in the compression swing.
We're going to talk about which primitive reflex these activities target because they each target a different one, and we're going to show you how to do these activities and maybe a little bit of modifications if needed.
So let's jump into our 5 activities. The first one, we are going to address the spinal Galant reflex and the Moro reflex. So the first one we're going to do is something called a snow angel. We've all been in the snow and we've laid on our backs and we open our arms and our legs in and out. We're going to try to do that in the compression swing. It's a great way to work on that tactile input to the back, the bilateral coordination, and then if you want to modify it, or if it's a little bit too challenging, then we can switch to a popcorn activity, which, just what you think, it starts as like a tiny little ball and then it pops like popcorn, which is what the child's body is going to do. They're going to be in a flexed, closed position, knees to their chest, maybe hands holding onto their knees, and then when you say pop, or when you give them a term, or maybe you don't give them a term at all, then they pop and extend into that like starfish position or that open snow angel position. So we are working on the spinal Galant reflex doing the snow angels, but we are also working on that Moro reflex doing our flexion and extension patterns, that popcorn activity.
The next one is going to target the TLR and the Landau reflex. Your child is going to be on their stomach in the swing and their hands are going to be out, their head's going to be out. Place some toys or some different items on the floor underneath them all over. Make sure that the swing is low enough that they can touch the ground with their hands, and they're going to maneuver around to grab the items with their hands, and then have a target placed a couple of feet away so that they can throw the items to the target. And what we're doing is we're really working on extension throughout the upper body, getting the arms up off the ground, getting the neck into extension, and that's where that targets those 2 primitive reflexes.
Now we're going to have them turn over onto their back, and we're going to work on the flexors or the core muscles, and we're going to work on the TLR flexion as well as the Moro reflex. So we're going to be on our backs, their head can be out of the swing. Make sure that you have a comfortable mat underneath just in case they fall out. Make sure that you're supporting them with your hands at all times, but they're going to have their head out, they're going to have their arms out, maybe reach up and grab an item that you're holding for them above their head, so they're going to grab it, fold up and tuck their chin to their neck, and then maybe do something with that item that they grab, throw it to a target, stick it in the swing, hold it between their knees. They're going to alternate between that extensor pattern and that flexor pattern, so working on the TLR flexion and that Moro reflex alternating. So hopefully that makes sense.
The next one is going to target the palmar grasp reflex as well as the STNR. So you need a couple of clothespins or the like chip bag clips.
Chip clips.
Chip clips?
Yeah.
Chip bag clips. And you're going to attach them to the top of the swing or at least above their head, above eye level. And then you want something on the floor like a suspended string or maybe a cup that the clips can get clipped onto. and your child is going to reach up and look with their eyes, tilting their head back and grasp the clip. Now, when we're grabbing the clip, we really want to make sure that they're using their fingers and working on the palmar arches of their hand, and that's where that palmar reflex comes into play. So they grab the clip with their fingers to unclip it, and then they bend back down to get to the floor and to clip the clip onto the cup or the string that's on the floor. And you're gonna alternate between grabbing the clip above them and reaching down and putting it below them. And you want to do this with both hands. So maybe alternate left and right hands. You can incorporate some crossing midlines so that instead of just reaching straight up, they have to reach up and across their body with their arms, so you're targeting even more skills with this.
All right, hopefully you're having fun at this point and you're not overwhelmed, but this last one we're gonna give you really works on that ATNR. So what we're gonna do is have our hands on the ground, our head out of the swing, make sure you lower the swing enough so that way their hands can be firmly on the ground, and we're going to put visual targets on either side of the child, so on their left and their right. So maybe a color chart or a number chart or a letter chart. So they're going to have their hands on the ground and they're gonna look to the left and make sure that their ear is like pointed towards the ground, read something from the chart, and then switch to the other side. So their opposite ear is like facing the ground and they're reading their chart. So you're going left to right, really working on the head rotation. And we want to look for any elbows collapsing or shoulder movement. We really want to help support them to not have any compensatory movements in their upper body. But if they do have retained reflexes, this activity, all of these activities will likely be challenging and they'll have to practice them over and over and over again. So try it. Hopefully it's fun, hopefully it's helpful, hopefully it's insightful for you to identify if we do have some of those lingering primitive reflexes that we really need to work on.
If you're noticing these primitive reflexes are stuck in your child's body, these activities are very, very difficult. Your child you're noticing some overflow movements, or maybe your child's not even able to do it and coordinate for these activities, then we recommend that you check out our Primitive Reflex digital course. In this course, we teach you how to test for retained primitive reflexes. We teach you how to specifically integrate each primitive reflex. And then we give you several different activities, kind of like what we gave you today, that help to promote primitive reflexes. And we teach you how and when and why these primitive reflexes are affecting your child.
If you're not quite ready to jump into a full course, we do have a lot of free information on primitive reflexes as well, just kind of to wet your whistle and learn about primitive reflex integration. We've got podcasts, we've got free webinars. We'll link everything in the description so that way you can check it all out.
If you found this video helpful, make sure you like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share this video with somebody else.
Follow us on the gram over at All Things Sensory Podcast, as well as Harkla_family. That's where we hang out and share all the fun things.
I think that's it. So we will talk to you next week. What are you doing?
I'm trying to get in.
Just sit in the swing. Well, when we were talking about it, we didn't say on
That's what I was envisioning. Like this. Oh, I'm going through.
Oh my god, this is such a cluster.
See, that's that STNR app. Oh my god, it's so hard.
Can you imagine what it's like for the kids? It's so hard.
Kids are easier. Not routine. Alright. I know, but my legs, they have, there we go.
Is that it?
Is that